Greetings once again. Welcome back to another review, this time of the 1983 film Superman 3. Told you guys I'd have it up today, and I'm sticking to my word. Superman 3 is a 1983 film directed by Richard Lester, starring Christopher Reeve, Richard Pryor, and Ned O'Toole. Yes, Superman 3 is a story of Superman is invited to Smallville for his high school reunion, and on the way there is an accident at a chemical plant where where Jimmy winds up injuring his leg, and Superman realizes that if he doesn't find a way to stop this fire, that the chemicals are gonna spread, and it results in him going to freeze a lake with his ice breath and then hover it over the plant and use his heat vision to make it act like rain. Silly. We know that's not how rain works, but this movie though. Yeah, and got our villain in this, Ross Webster, played by Robert Vaughn. He's just this corporate business guy who wants to control the coffee industry and build a monopoly. And after that, he wants to move on to oil. And the very beginning of the film, we're introduced to Gus Gorman, played by Richard Pryor. He is in an unemployment line and waiting, and he's told that he is no longer eligible for unemployment because he hasn't worked in so long. And then he winds up finding he's good at computers somehow, and he embezzles money from Ross Webster, and then Ross Webster, after that, cons him into working for him. Otherwise, he'll send him over to the police, and Gus would go to jail. So he does what Webster says for now, and the and Clark goes to his high school reunion party, and he is reintroduced with his old high school girlfriend, Lana Lang, and this played by Annette O'Toole. Annette O'Toole would go on to play Martha Kent in the TV series Smallville. And yeah, and the scenes with Clark and Lana talking to each other, they're nice scenes, and honestly, if there was more of that in the movie and less of Richard Pryor, this might have been a fairly decent movie, but it is what it is, of course. And basically, after Superman stops one of Webster's plans to control the coffee, and he then moves on to get this idea of kryptonite, because he remembered hearing about it in that interview that Superman did with Lois in the first film. And he has Gus make the kryptonite, and Gus adds tar to it because he's smoking a cigarette, and when he looks at that, he gets the idea to add tar as an ingredient. And Superman winds up coming back to Smallville because Lana has told her son, Ricky, that Superman will be coming there for his birthday party. And then when there's some celebration going on for Superman visiting Smallville, Gus Gorman shows up, and he's pretending to be a general in Washington, and says he's giving Superman a gift of honor, and it's the kryptonite that he's made. Of course, this kryptonite, he learns that Superman doesn't die from it, and something's wrong. However, the kryptonite starts affecting Superman in a weird way where he starts turning darker. Like he first tells Lana that there's no rush for him to get to a bridge that's collapsed, and because of this, when he finally does get there, there's nothing he can do anymore. And we see Superman slowly start turning more evil, where he does like just random stuff like turn the Leaning Tower over straight up, or and blows out the Olympic torch. And this blonde-haired girl that is one of Ross Webster's people. She gets on top of the Statue of Liberty in a red dress and attempts to seduce the evil Superman, which he says he doesn't save people anymore now, but she's gonna give him something he likes if he does something for her, because one of the oil ships is not going in the direction Webster has planned for it to. So Superman causes an oil spill. And then from there, it's just Superman, for some reason, later gets drunk and then he splits into two people and fights himself in a junkyard. It's a really weird scene, and a lot of people use that scene as one of the praises for this film. But I don't know, that scene's just weird to me. But Clark eventually beats the evil Superman, and then he just does the iconic shirt rip and does Superman stuff. He goes back to that oil spill and he uses his super breath to separate the oil from the water, even though that's not how that works. But still, he cleans that up, and then he goes after Webster, who is hanging out in the mountains with a supercomputer, and he's firing missiles at Superman, and it's on an old Nintendo video game, which was just random, and I don't get it. It even had a score system. But then, yeah, Superman just goes there, and the supercomputer has apparently gotten kryptonite correct this time, and then Ross Webster tells Gus Gorman that he's gonna go down as the guy who killed Superman, and Gus just is like, no way, and he goes and smashes the machine, and Vera, Ross Webster's sister, gets sucked into the machine and turned into a cyborg, which is another weird scene, but overall, that's about the whole movie. It's a pretty simple plot, and I know this is a very hated movie too, and yeah, I think currently it only holds like a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes, and on its release, it apparently was also critically panned. It made money, but it wasn't a big success like the first two films were. So the Salkins were not really interested in making any more Superman films after this. They tried Supergirl after this, and that bombed, so they just said it was over at that point and wound up selling the rights off. And yeah, that's about Superman 3. I mean, I don't really care for this movie that much. I mean, outside of a few things like the Smallville scenes and Christopher Reeve's portrayal as the evil Superman, this movie just doesn't really do anything for me. It's it's goofy and dumbed down compared to the first two films, and yeah, this is basically what Superman the movie would have turned out like had Richard Donner not come in and hired Tom Mankiewicz to rewrite the Newmans script, which the Newmans, of course, were brought back to perform rewrites on Richard Wester's theatrical cut of Superman 2, and they are the main screenwriters on this film as well. So you could see where the wackiness is coming from, in addition to Richard Wester, who's a comedy director. His comedy wasn't so bad in Superman 2, though, because Richard Donner had already shot most of that movie, so that was kind of like a Donner film with Richard Lester just throwing a coat of paint over it. But Superman 3 is a Richard Lester film, and it shows. Yeah, this movie was basically it was Yeah, this was really the end of the Superman movie franchise for a while, but of course there was one more movie squeezed out of the Christopher Reeve series, but that's another review coming up. Yeah, I'd grade Superman 3 at like a, I don't know, 2 out of 10. Pretty much just for the Smallville stuff and Christopher Reeve's portrayal as the evil Superman. Outside of that, I really don't care to ever watch this movie again. It's basically like if you were there back in the 80s, this is the film where you decide, yeah, I don't think I like the Christopher Reeve Superman movies anymore. Like they hit their slump and that was it. Anyway, I will have a review on Superman 4 next, so watch for that. I may have it up by later tonight or early tomorrow. We'll see. This was just my last day off, so and I've been home all day, so figured why not get some movies watched and some reviews out. And I'm glad that there's my 12 subscribers are at least watching my videos. Appreciate you guys for that. Always feel free to drop a like or a comment, and if you have any suggestions for any other movies you'd like me to review, then we could like see about that also. But till then, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think about Superman 3, and till next time.